To order the Public Works Committee for Westchester Borough Council, March 12th at 6:30. Committee members Bernie Flynn, Chair, and Sheila Vaquero are present. Brian Travis is away on vacation. Any comments, suggestions? I didn't finish, Daryl. Comments, suggestions, petitions by residents in attendance regarding items not on the agenda. Daryl.
Darrell Cook, South Walnut Street. I'm concerned about the location of the new crosswalk at High and Minor Street on the north side. Thank you.
Daryl, you have 3 minutes. What are you concerned about?
The crosswalk's been moved from the corner north, and people on the East Minor Street, the third, fourth, fifth cars would not be able to see pedestrian in the crosswalk easily.
Thank you. Just so happens, the next person up is our traffic engineer. Maybe you can address that rather rapidly.
Sure. So the High and Minor Street project, as the resident mentioned, is under construction right now. The plans were reviewed and approved by PennDOT. Typically, the crosswalk coming out from the bump out is typically actually improves visibility, and that's why PennDOT chose that location for the borough. So I can give you a.
Are the crosswalks any closer to the arc on the corner, or are they further away from the arc on the corner, or are they in the exact same spot they were?
I can bring up the plan real quick.
It sounds like Budweiser.
So
It really did. I thought it was a Budweiser commercial there for a minute.
So the crosswalk, it looks like it was, actually, the crosswalk is not even shown on this plan, the existing one. Oh, you know what? I do see it. It was a little faded. The crosswalk looks like it was actually closer to the middle of the intersection and they moved it out. And that's because, now I wasn't the designer on this plan, but I'm guessing it had to be moved out because there's a bump out being installed there. And the bump out in general will improve visibility for pedestrians that are attempting to cross High Street. So they'll be able to see vehicles coming down High Street.
Thank you. All right, Kelly, would you give your engineer and traffic report? Thank you.
Yes. So I'm Kelly Goff. I am with RVE. I'm the traffic consultant for the borough. Under High and Minor, the improvements include curb bump outs, ADA ramps, stormwater infrastructure. RVE is assisting with submittal and RFI reviews and construction observation. This project is being funded under the Chester County Revitalization Grant. At this time, the project is set to conclude in June, and the borough has received 0 payment requests at this time. Just going right into the High Street Corridor project, which is actually was designed and permitted through PennDOT. This project will be on High Street and span Rosedale to Minor. Improvements will be very similar to this High and Minor project and will include signals, bump outs, and ADA ramps. The project has yet to be awarded yet, but they are expecting construction to begin in early summer. PennDOT will reach out to the borough staff shortly to schedule a pre-construction meeting. Moving right on to the Rosedale and New Intersection Improvements Project. This project is actually being designed and permitted with the university. And RVE has reviewed the plans on behalf of the borough. There's no final design or permit at this point, and there's no bidding or construction date finalized. They're still reviewing our comments, as well as their own clients' comments, the consultant is. Under Price and Brandywine, this project is at Price and Brandywine, and it includes signage and striping. There may be a opportunity for PICO to take on some of this work in the near future. So PennDOT and the Public Works Department are coordinating the schedule of this work with PICO, because if they're performing work in that area, they may be able to take it on. So that's a great news for the borough. Under, and then unrelated to traffic, we also are working on your MS4 permit requirements. Under this program, we have been working with the borough to update your pollution reduction plan and your TMDL plan. These plans are mandated by the state. They are basically a plan that shows how the borough will reduce their pollutants within the borough. And it is currently being reviewed by the borough staff. And once it's reviewed by the borough staff, we will then forward the draft over to the PA DEP for review. And that's all I have on my report, unless you guys have questions.
Mr. Vaccaro? No, the only question I have for you is Rosedale and New. There was proposed a circle, traffic circle there. Is that still in the works, or is the university backed off of that?
There's no circle proposed at this point. There's like basically a pork chop with a channelized turn that's proposed
Okay.
at this point.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, hello, Miss Courtney. Yeah,
Hi, Bernie.
good to see you.
Courtney Finneran from the Borough. Question on the plan that you talked about for DEP, the TMDL, and I think it was the PRP plan. Is that going to be out for public comment prior to going to DEP?
So the original plan was out for public comment when it was originally approved a couple of years ago. And since this time we are making revisions, PADEP has advised the borough to again put it out for public comment. So once they review it, we'll be putting that out for public comment as well.
Thank you, Ms. Finner. All right. Mr. Edwards of Public Works.
Good evening. A few highlights during the past month are the contractor for the Bicentennial Garage is scheduled to begin work tomorrow. We performed a walkthrough on Market Street to identify deficiencies to sidewalks, trees, and streetlights. The borough will perform systematic pruning of the trees in the downtown business district. We will plant trees where necessary. The owners of the other infrastructure will be advised to make repairs. And the third highlight is we ordered 2 new police vehicles. Additionally, we are in the process of hiring an engineer to design phase 1 of the Gay Street closure project. The proposed improvements are shown on this plan. You, Bill. Which is to install 4 gates and perform associated work. Phase 2 will complete the other 4 gates for a complete closure. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Vaccaro, jump in.
I have asked that we address the need for loading zone parking at the ends of each of these blockades. So I want it on record that I would like to see us incorporate parking for vehicles like DoorDash and pickups as much as possible along these.
Okay. Outside of the closure area?
Yes, so, making sure that currently we do have the blockades bumped in slightly, but it's sort of, I don't know how systematic or thought out that is. I'm sure it is. It's not clear. I want it, and I know that this is a temporary shutdown, so we can't necessarily stripe the street every weekend and then peel it all up. But that's ideally, I would want cars to pull in at a 90-degree angle, fit 3, ideally, I want everything the way I want it, but I know it's not all possible. I want those gates inset. I want us to recognize the need for this. There's a lot of DoorDash kind of pickups in this area. There's a lot of soccer moms picking up dinner on their drive home, and that is how our borough works. And that's really important that we acknowledge that and make moves now so that we can make it happen.
Mr. Mann, can you move the other picture over? Ms. Vaccaro, you can take a look. You see the recess that you're looking at right there at the crosswalk? That's Mr. Edwards, that's what she's referring to. Currently, when we shut down Gay Street, the cinder blocks or the Q blocks are set in and the DoorDash guys and women pull in there. And right in the crosswalk area, they stay temporarily and off they go. And I think that picture there, I think would satisfy Ms. McCarroll. It would give enough setback that the cars could pull in.
It's a start. You know, I want it enforced. I want all sorts of things. So
Last year, we put a sign up for like 10-minute parking only or something like that. So
Yeah. And how did we make out with our two police cars? You told them they could not exceed $50,000 per car. How'd we make out?
they are slightly over $50,000. Yeah, so they told me before that it was, we would be safe at 50,000, came in at 50,000 and some hundreds.
I think that's acceptable because of the manufacturer.
Okay,
If it was 52,000, I think I'd have a problem with it.
right.
51,000, I have a problem with it.
Yeah, it's hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, that's acceptable.
The way they open and close these things now,
Yeah.
you know, there was emergency and, you know, so.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to seeing how well our guess is for, you know, how long it takes us to get it.
Yeah.
Because we're anticipating August.
Yeah.
And Mr. Travis he's challenging me on how long it takes to get a police car.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
right.
Appreciate your help.
I have one other concern.
Mhm.
I'm sure it's not budgeted for, but I want something to address the weed problem that we have in certain borough-owned garden areas, not parks. But small gardens, say right outside of the police station, that are just weed pits. And I think this falls under your
Mhm.
jurisdiction. How are we going to address that? The season, it's warm, it's hot today.
Yeah, all right. So that's part of the landscaping that we were talking about last year with getting a horticulturist and getting some more people on site, getting a crew leader to be proactive in finding these things before others do and all that. So that's how we're going to improve it. I will tell you that for the Borough Hall site, I don't even think Sean knows about it now, but it was just kicking around an idea for now. I've asked for a proposal from JHL, the landscaping, to clear the islands and the peninsulas and probably the what you're referring to right there, so we can start with a fresh canvas. I prefer not to kind of share these ideas before sharing it with the manager, but it's kind of came up with your question right here. So it's not to say we're going to do it, but once I get a price, then I'm going to talk to Sean and see what he thinks about that.
Yeah, we talked about that during our walk last week with Public Works, Building and Housing, up Market Street. I floated the idea to Mr. Edwards because the poison ivy, you can't get rid, you just can't kill it. It just keeps coming back. So we have to totally remove everything that's there. And I even mentioned to him, put a pollinator garden out in that area. And I think we get a large support for a pollinator garden up there.
So to show you that we were, listening. Don Anderson and I were talking about, you know, to avoid the contaminated soil with poison ivy. We were talking about digging out to a certain depth, putting in some fabric, you know, as like a barrier, and then putting in some good topsoil so that we would get rid of that, and then we could do the pollinator and whatever else you're talking about.
Just,
Your wishes,
you're
my
just going to
command.
keep bringing that one up.
On our radar.
You've gotten 3 wishes. The
You know.
genie only has 1 more left for you.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Sean Mitchell, the Director, wastewater. Good evening.
How are you? As you know, February was a wet month. We did a lot of work inside. Taylor Run actually took apart 5 sludge pumps and repainted a lot of their piping in the one building. They inspected and repacked 9 sludge scum and recirculation pumps, along with cleaning each check valve that accompanies it. During one of the high flowed storms, they have an aeration tank that collects all the road grit, anything that gets past the micro screens. Usually they have a screw and a conveyor chain that dumps it into a dumpster. Well, it got jammed up with something, so they had to take that down, clean it all out, fix a bracket, and put it back online. For the month, Taylor Run flowed an average of 927,000 gallons a day. At Goose Creek, we replaced 2 old quarter turn valves and pipes on the force mains at Minor Street Pump Station. We found in the wet weather again that we had 2 sump pumps in electrical pits out in the plant that burn out, so we replaced those. Clean, patched, and painted all the walls inside the maintenance shop. Scraped all the grease and buildup off the floats and walls in PS1. We cleaned and inspected 8 mono pumps in the first stage of the plant. They removed a pump and base in preparation for the new ones that we just ordered, and rebuilt a roots blower motor. Goose Creek had an average flow of 1.070 million gallons per day.
Very good.
Kept busy.
Thank you.
Thank you. As a quick reminder, Barb is taking the finance tomorrow. We are put a PO in for a blower. It's one of the 200 horsepower blowers. It's for $113,000. It will be in upon order, and based on specs, they need 10% down, 40 in the middle, and 50% at the end. It's a 16-week delivery, so we're trying to get it in now. And it is replacing a blower from 1986 that's on run only if needed. So just as a heads up to you guys.
How much was it?
113,000.
All right. Okay, thank you. Parks and Recreation.
Hi, folks.
Good evening, Mr. Kraus.
Karowski, Director of the Parks and Rec Department. Want to touch on a couple key aspects. You saw the report, but Hoops Park is busy. It's really a lot going on at Hoops Park. The Adult Baseball League is in the process, as approved the last month at both the committee here and council, to move forward with the netting system and the dugouts. They've started on both projects literally today. Yesterday. They demoed the dugouts at Hoops Park yesterday, and starting the digging aspect today for the footers that will become the base of the new dugouts. There is a slight issue with a tree in question on the first base side, so they've been asked to halt and cease on the first base side temporarily until we can get our borough arborist out there to make sure that we're not damaging that tree any further. Again, as everyone here knows, they are fully aware that they have to get the netting in place and erected before any ball play is allowed to take place there, and I am very confident that they will do so. Another project, Billy, if you could pull up my attachment, please. Couldn't think of the name. A lot going on in Hoops Park. Not just yet. The plans are still in place, but we are in the process. As mentioned in the report, we've received 2 grants in the total of almost $240,000 to renovate the courts at Hoops Park, the tennis courts. They are in dire need of this, and we've been talking about this for years. Our current plan and idea was, as you see right here, we're going to take the existing footprint and create 4 new courts, with 3 of those courts being tennis and the 4th court being turned into permanent pickleball. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America right now. And we're having, I wouldn't call it backlash, but we're having a kind of there could be some save the 4th court and things of that nature coming along the pipelines. But we're looking at the option of possibly expanding and getting out of the original footprint and keeping 4 tennis courts and adding 2 pickleball courts. The grants that we've already applied for, this is completely fine with. We would still be providing the same type of activities, just with an expansion. I met with the borough engineers there last week. They're looking at this from a higher level right now. They're going to look into some concepts, look into some ideas of what this would potentially cost us. Now, if we do this, we also open ourselves up to the potential of getting more grants from the USTA. The United States Tennis Association is willing to give money, but they will only give money to tennis, not pickleball. So my next phone call is to the Pickleball Association of America to see if they'd be giving us money as well. The idea still is the same this year. Concept and design and bid this year with whatever idea we agree upon to come out of this, hopefully construction in 2025. That's if we do not decide to phase this out, depending on what the cost would be. If you were to use post-tension concrete courts, which is the highest level with the most durability, they're $150,000 estimated per court. That's $600,000 for 4 courts. If you go with the macadam base, you're looking at more somewhere between 70 and 90 a court. We're still going to get a good length of use out of those facilities. And any facilities you use or build, they're going to require maintenance. We just might have to be a little more prudent on our maintenance over the course of the lifespan if we choose to use macadam, which based on the grants that we've gotten at $240,000, I mean, that doesn't even put really a dent into the post-tension concrete. We're still exploring the options. The grant money, I wish was more from USTA, but it's on top of the 240 we got would be an additional, I think, 60 to 70. So we'd be in the neighborhood of 300K in grant funding. Once we have those brought back from the engineers, I'll certainly bring them back before everyone here, along with the Friends of Hoops Park. I mean, again, I'm getting a little bit of pushback both ways. Is we want to keep the courts, we want to keep our facilities open, we want to provide as much of an opportunity for recreational activities as we can, but where is the fine line between using current open space to promote other activities within the park? So that's something we're also looking at through the PROS plan, the Parks Recreation Open Space Plan, which is another topic I wanted to speak with everyone here. We had our first meeting a few weeks ago, well attended, only one of the members couldn't make it. It was more of an introductory to kind of what the plan is, what the members of the group will be involved with, what's being expected of them. Currently, if I'm not mistaken, the next meeting for the steering committee is going to be on April 16th, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, of which the consultants are currently working on homework to give to the steering committee to do a little more, little research on their end. All of the steering committee members, again, are very enthusiastic, and they're asking me, like, what can we do next? I just have to wait for the consultants to get them that information. Other than that, open to any questions you guys may have. Oh, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one thing quick. Sorry if you had something good. Oh, 225 parade. I'll be back here tomorrow to talk more about that. Big year coming up. Sean, help me. Quasi Quib. Centennial. Yep. But I'll be back tomorrow for the special event application for that. And there's several events that we're planning. I actually had a conversation with the mayor and Teresa earlier about some other things taking place later this year, but this only comes around once in a lifetime. We might as well make the most of it.
How are we addressing parking for the parade?
What's that?
How are we addressing parking for that?
How do you mean?
Just, are we addressing additional, special event parking?
That'll be brought up tomorrow as well. That'll be a question back to council. But it may not fit in the same time frame as we're looking at with the special event, the new special event application process. What we've done currently for the Halloween parade is we open up the Chestnut Street and Bicentennial Garage to the special event parking fees. That question comes back to council if we would want to do the same again, and we can certainly discuss that again tomorrow night. It's a little different. The Halloween parade always takes place on a Wednesday or potentially a Thursday if there's a rain date. This event's taking place on a Sunday, which, if I'm not mistaken, the garages are free. So there is a bit of another question for council to answer there.
I don't know if the garages are free on the weekend. I know the flat lots are,
Okay.
and the meter parking is,
Yes.
but I'm not so sure about the
Okay.
garage. The garages are free on the weekends? Right? Oh, thank you, Mayor. Mayor DiBaptiste said the garages are free on the weekends.
Just Sundays.
Oh, just Sunday. Okay.
But again, I'll speak more to about, but literally, I mean, you could substitute Halloween parade and 225 parade. They're the same footprint, they're the same layout, they're the same design. How we want to handle the special event parking fees and or such, again, would be a question for council.
I think we spent a long time on that with Ramsey.
We did, but it's not finalized, and this being a Sunday, I think this needs to be specifically addressed. That's all. I think that personally, I think that we need to acknowledge that this is a special event, that we need to modify the parking in some way. At the bid meeting this morning, it was brought up to the businesses that they need to be ready for additional people. And I think we need to do the same thing for the parking. That's all.
And that's totally feasible. Well, one thing we want to do is we want to, as part of the special event application process, we want to clarify that for any or every event, it's not 5, 10, 50, it's literally, it's this. If the special event parking fee is invoked by Borough Council after reviewing an application, these things automatically take place. So that'll be part of the process. We're a little out of line in our timeline as far as the approval of the process and the actual parade taking place, but certainly open to discussion for the event itself, this particular event.
Right. This is definitely, I'm hurrying that up is what I'm asking, to hurry that sort of up and try and get it streamlined. Do you have something to say, Mayor?
Mayor, did you have something to say? Yeah, Mr. Metric, for next week for work session, can you put that on for council to discuss make sure that for the 225 anniversary, the parking garages will be open and free for the residents, so all council can see it and hear it?
Yeah, we were planning on doing that tomorrow night in public safety, so we'll cover it under those committee items. That
Good.
topic
Yeah,
you
that's
just
good,
mentioned.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Mayor Tandel.
I'm not in support necessarily. So I understand, but I think my motivation is to move it towards a consistent way of dealing with the special events. And I do think that primarily this event will be local people who will be walking up. But I don't think it's going to hurt to discuss the event policy here.
Good, it'll be on public safety tomorrow and move to probably to the work session. Thank you.
See you tomorrow night.
All right, we have various action items and most of them look like they pertain to Public Works and wastewater. So Mr. Mitchell, you want to motion to approve sewer capacity agreement with East Bradford Township and Aqua, Pennsylvania?
Correct. The original 5-year agreement was drafted in 17, amended in 18, and expired late in 22. With the help of our solicitors, they put in an extension to last through this year, so we can look into different payment options of how much flow is actually coming in from East Bradford. Do we want to go to a different payment route? Tom Estee drew up this extension. It will expire at the end of 2024. So we can enter into a new one with new terms, but it has the correct rates for the billing of the East Bradford residents.
Have you had that discussion with the township manager over at East Bradford yet?
I have not.
Mr. Metric said yes. And have they agreed to our terms on the sewer capacity agreement?
We've been in negotiations with East Bradford Township and Aqua, so all parties understand what's in this agreement. It's a tri-party agreement. East Bradford's responsibilities are very a lot smaller than they were when it started. The expiring agreement, if you recall, East Bradford still owned the conveyance system, and then in the course of the last agreement, sold those assets to Aqua. So that's part of why this process has been taking a little bit of time. We've had to negotiate with Aqua. Aqua wanted to move towards a metered scenario of billing, and we didn't want to do that until we knew what was actually flowing into the borough through the interconnections. And we went back and identified all the interconnections. And our plan for this year is to meter those interconnections so we have the data, so we know what we're getting ourselves into before we agree to something with a gigantic corporation like Aqua.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you. Ms. McCara? Okay. Moving on to the soda ash purchase that we do every year for wastewater.
Just to clarify, the committee members present were in support of approving
Yes, we're
that capacity
in support
agreement.
of it,
Thank you.
Yes.
2-0. The motion to approve the bid for the soda ash for wastewater.
We opened up bids. We received 3 bids. The first 2 were found unresponsive, non-responsive. We're recommending that the contract be awarded to Univar Solutions for the price shown. And they are currently serving the wastewater department now with this chemical.
So they're our current position vendor.
It's true, right?
Correct. They are our current one.
Okay. Any questions?
Thank you.
That's a 2-0. Motion to approve the bid for aluminum chloride, hydroxide sulfate, I guess you say that, for wastewater?
Yeah.
I want to see Mr. Finley say that. How are we doing with the pricing with that?
We did pretty well. So it's only one bid. It's the incumbent. And the price raised 3.65%, but that's over 2 years. And the first year is when a lot of inflation was happening. So I feel pretty good about 3.65%.
No problem with that.
That's good.
That's a 2-0 for the aluminum chloride. Motion to approve support for the Chester Ridley Crum Creek Watershed Stream Cleanup Event, March 16th, 2024. Ms. Finneran?
I'll be brief. Courtney Finneran, 501 South Maryland Avenue. I'm a 30-year resident of the borough, and I've been doing this cleanup for, I can't even count. I'm going to just say 20 years. Feels about right. I started doing this as a volunteer and then moved into more role with the watershed group. And so I'm here tonight to ask for your support. The borough has long supported this. You guys are excellent partners in this cleanup. We focus only on Goose Creek. We stay only in public right-of-way or parks, and we only access through private properties when we're given permission by the owner. Currently, we have maybe 1 or 2 owners who will provide that access. We kind of focus mostly around the public works site. We do go down to the park there at the southern edge of town, Mosteller Park. I remembered it. And we try to get up a little further north, maybe towards like Market Street, but we really don't go past Market Street. It's hard to access and it's too dangerous. So the ask tonight is for borough staff to provide facilities. So we kind of meet at the Public Works Department at 9 a.m. on Saturday, if anyone's interested. And we will have donuts if you're so interested. And we'll have supplies, all the supplies you'll need. And then we just sort of divvy up and everyone goes to different blocks. And then our esteemed Public Works professionals drive a truck and pick up the trash and help us, take it off the public right of way. And I think we get, every year it's sort of about 2,000 to 3,000 pounds. Some years a bit more than others, but any questions?
No.
No, thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
mucking it up for us. We appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Motion to approve February's Public Works Committee meeting minutes.
Approved.
You have one more gift. Do you have any more? You've gotten two. Okay, just check. Any other business? Meeting's adjourned at 7:05.